Fantastic. Thank you. And good afternoon, council members, state policymakers and team members and members of the public. I want to, oops, I am looking at the wrong thing. Sorry. Today we are going to be discussing the budget item. And so I will call the roll. Councilwoman Alverio. Councilman Betts. I am here. Councilman Gaddis.
Here.
Councilwoman Gordon.
Here.
Councilman Jefferson.
Here.
Kyle Abercrombie for Councilman Lehman.
Here, and I'd also like to mention our esteemed Deputy Commissioner Paul O. Robinson is also here.
Yes, I was going to do that. Councilwoman Name. Councilman Pelka. Councilwoman Shaw.
Present.
Councilman Shirley. Councilwoman Valories.
Present.
Councilman Walton.
Present.
And I want to acknowledge that Councilwoman Alverio has joined us. And we have a quorum. This afternoon, the council will revisit the proposed budget for the Social Equity Council that was introduced by the executive director on September 26th. Director Clay is out of office this week, but we are joined by Deputy Commissioner Paul O. Robertson. Wanted to give him an opportunity to say hello and greet the council and others.
Thank you, and thank you for taking time. I really would like to send out an invite to spend some time with each of you over the next week or so. So hopefully I'll hear from you all soon and meet one-on-one. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
We are also joined by Program Manager Jennifer Edwards, I believe, and Associate Accountant Jennifer Stevens, who are on hand to answer any questions council members may have. I see Councilman Betts has joined us. Just want to make note of that. Hello. And with that, I will turn it over to our Finance Committee Chair, Christine Shaw, to frame our discussion. And just to request that before we engage in sort of back and forth on the matter, that we do so once a motion is made and seconded. I also see Councilman Pelka. Chairwoman Shaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon all. As Chairwoman Comer mentioned, the budget request for the next biennium covering fiscal years 24 and 25 was first introduced to the council at the last meeting on September 26th. A number of questions were raised about some of the most significant line items, not the least of which included the resources allocated for workforce development and community reinvestment, both of which are core to the mission of the Social Equity Council. Since that last meeting, the committee chairs have had an opportunity to get together with staff to really understand the assumptions underlying each aspect of the budget. I think folks know that and can appreciate that budgets are expressions of our priorities and our mandates. And it's really important that even though this is just a request, which is the start of a probably 8-month-long budget process, 8 months on the optimistic side, it is important that the committee chairs have an opportunity to weigh in and make sure that we get the request right. And so that working meeting was a very productive one. And so what was distributed to the council for this meeting was a revised budget. I'll just summarize at a very high level some of the main changes, but I certainly would defer to Chair of Workforce Development to offer her insights on the approach to the workforce development piece, as well as any of the other committee members who would like to weigh in. I know Marilyn Alverio, as Chair of Outreach, had an opportunity to really kind of reflect kind of the expectations for how the Social Equity Council would go about the community outreach piece of our work. So with that, just a reminder that we will be, well, the council will be asked to vote to endorse the budget request. This will then be sent over to OPM by their deadline of October 3rd, I believe. And then this will be part of the iterative process, the legislative budget process. So there'll be hearings and the like, which will culminate in legislative passage and hopefully approval by the governor in June, assuming there's no extended special session. So with that, let me just summarize briefly some of the high-level changes. The accelerate, and I just want to make sure that everyone has the document, which is entitled SEC FY22 through FY25 budget. That's the name of the Excel spreadsheet from which I will be reading. And that sets forth kind of like the changes since the version that was submitted last week. So as long as folks have that document. Let me just a comment about format. And this is thanks to Mr. Abercrombie's suggestion. The budget is presented with the fiscal 22 figures through fiscal 2025. In this way, the council members can see the progression and the evolution of expenditures for specific line items. You can see the growth from fiscal 22, which is the year that just ended, June 30th, 2022, all the way through the end of the proposed biennium. So in this fashion, you can kind of see, get a big picture of the trends with how we're expending the resources, particularly the resources that are coming in the form of allocated bond funds, as well as revenues from licenses and conversion fees. So the accelerator program has $1 million, a $1 million request for each year of the biennium. That is down from $2 million, which is set forth in the current 23 budget. And the thinking is that there would be resources available for the accelerator program, but any other resources that could be helpful to other applicants. And that's something that I'm not sure if Ojala is here to explain kind of how that's going to play out. But the funds have just been kind of reallocated to other line items. There was also in response to some concerns raised by members of the council, there was an adjustment to well, there was consolidation of the workforce development and community reinvestment line items. The logic there is that those two core functions are really inextricably linked. The way in which this council goes about allocating resources for job training and wraparound services, which Kelly Marie can speak more to, will also be an important way that we measure the impact of this cannabis market on disproportionately impacted areas, and will be key to the kind of measurement that we will undertake, which will kind of track how it is the cannabis business is intended to impact, and making sure that the intentions are fulfilled through this program. And so, as a side note, we made some tweaks to the staffing requests that were originally advanced by the executive director to reflect that interest in measurement. And so you'll see the addition of a research analyst. We took out the brand director. I'll invite staff to comment if they'd like to more fully. But what this budget does reflect, I think, is consensus amongst the council over how it is we can accomplish our core mission. Now, just if I could just bookmark this for a second, Madam Chair, there is no motion on the floor just yet. Maybe I'll just finish the summary and then we can have a motion to consider, and then there can be discussion. Is there going to be
Sure, and
discussion?
just for your awareness, Councilman Jefferson has had his hand up for a while.
Oh, okay. I'll get to that in a second. So is there going to be a separate discussion of the organizational chart? Would you like to keep that separate?
I think we can keep that separate. I mean, just
Okay.
for clarity, the organization chart, I think, helps us to look at the budget, but I don't think that that document will not necessarily accompany the budget document that's submitted, right? So there's
Understood.
plenty of room for further discussion on the positions that are proposed.
Okay, so we'll take that separately. So with that, Mr. Jefferson, would you like the floor?
Good afternoon. Couple things. When a motion is made, I am hoping that a caveat is associated with the motion that, given the fact that this is a process, that we maintain some flexibility in making adjustments to the budget over this process, so that we're not locked into anything that's permanent. And in the interest of time, just so that we can save time, I know I've read the budget. I was ready to move forward at the last meeting. So I would just ask that if folks have questions about it so that we can save everybody time, because I'm sure everyone has reviewed the budget. And if they have any questions about the budget as presented, they can ask at this point and allow the committee chairs, if they wish to add whatever they have to add. But I think we all are clear about the adjustments that have been made to the budget. So I'm just saying in the interest of time, because this is a special council meeting. So it's not a regularly scheduled meeting. People have put aside some time to accommodate the request that was made to hold this meeting. Thank you.
So would you like to make a motion, Mr. Jefferson?
I do. I would like to make a motion to endorse the proposed budget with the flexibility that we make, that the council is allowed to make adjustments as we see necessary when going through this 8-month process. That's my motion.
Second.
So is there discussion? Any questions? Kyle?
Thank you. Yeah, so I would just reiterate what Councilman Jefferson said. Ultimately, it's up to the legislature to kind of decide what the ultimate budget's going to be. So this is a recommendation, and I'm grateful for all the work of this council and of Jeannie Ray and the Social Equity Council's team making adjustments, hearing us out, and coming up with this product today. Also, thank you to our DUCD staff for their support in getting to this point. So thank you.
Councilwoman Alvario's hand and followed by Councilman Gaddis.
I think Gaddis was first.
Oh, okay. Councilman Gaddis.
Thank you very much. I just also want to piggyback off of Kyle, who that was good words, Kyle. That's quite the little Benjamin Franklin thing you got going on there. But I definitely agree with him. You guys did a rock star job on this budget, getting us here. I know that we had concerns. I'm happy with the product. And I just want to say thank you for the leadership, Ms. Shaw, and to our esteemed chairwoman. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's yeah, I'd like to reiterate that I agree with both Councilman Gaddis and with what Kyle just brought to the table, very much so. So thank you to both of you for bringing us this far. The only comment that I wanted to make as I went through the documents when they came in on Friday, I think it was Saturday, is and I know we talked about the org chart not being part of this discussion, but want to make sure that we're going to have that wiggle room to change some of the language. For example, the EA position currently only reports into the executive director, and I believe at that level and the kind of responsibility that that position is going to require, that it should have a direct report. So if that's something that's on the org chart kind of conversation, I'm fine with that. And then the second thing is I just want to make sure in terms of our language that we're not just using community outreach, and that's the line item right now was community outreach, that it is a marketing communication also component to that as we're creating our communications, our flyers, our social media posts, that a marketing communication expertise is extremely important for the community outreach position. That's
Thank you, Councilwoman Alvario. Point well taken. Yes, and I agree. I think that we definitely want someone who has the ability and the competencies to conduct outreach, but is along those same lines. We also want someone who is familiar with social media and has a strong both verbal and written communication skills. So we're looking for, some might argue a unicorn, but I'm sure we can find them.
Madam Chair, do you want to call the question since I don't see there are any other questions?
No? Final call for comments, questions? All right. Well, hearing none, All in favor of moving forward the proposed budget? Yeah, all in favor of moving forward the proposed budget?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Hi, Madam Chair, this is Mark. I'm going to have to abstain, just so that I don't lay a position on the budget before it reaches OPM for review. So,
Understood. Appreciate that, Councilman Pelka. Oh, great. Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Did we want to discuss the order chart, or I don't see a separate line item on the agenda, so I'm not
I don't
sure
think we
that we
should.
can. Okay. So is there anything for the good of the order?
When is the next meeting, Madam Chair? I have
So-
a couple of different,
Sure. So I had asked folks to complete a doodle poll for the week of the 17th. The 17th and the 18th were sort of in the running. There were various dates, various times on those two dates available. I believe that Director Clay and Crystal are working to finalize that date, but it will be either the 17th or the 18th.
thank you.
I'm pretty sure that I said the 17th. I am traveling the 18th, so I'll go back in there to make sure that I'm only putting in the 17th as my availability.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else for the good of the order? All righty, motion to adjourn.
So move.
Moved.
Second.
Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Everybody. Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.